Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we're joined by a very special guest, current Eastern Ontario Super Hockey League hockey player from the Glengarry Pipers, Braeden Pearl. Braeden's had a hell of a journey going through junior hockey to college hockey and then into the EOSHL as well. So he played his junior hockey days in the NCJHL, the NOJHL, Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League, the Eastern Ontario Junior Hockey League, the USPHL Elite and Empire divisions, the Eastern Hockey League, the MJHL, the NA3 EHL, and the CCHL before joining the NCAA Division III Western New England University for 2 years before going to Trine University for his final 2 years before ending up in the EOSHL with the Maxville Millionaires, and then working his way through those teams, and then ended up with the Glengarry Pipers for the last couple of years. So, Braeden, super excited to get you on the show. So, welcome to the show, Braeden Pearl.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Jack.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. It's always a blast talking to hockey players, talking their career path, and helping others learn as well. So, I'm super excited to have you on.
Yeah, same here. Honestly, I think you gave a pretty good, detailed, analysis of my career and stuff. And just to let everyone know, yes, I was a suitcase in junior hockey for sure.
Hey, well, we'll continue to talk through your career and just what you've learned throughout your career to help the others going through the junior college and then getting into like the pro route with the EOSHL and semi-pro. But how have you been to start this off?
Yeah, I've been busy. Like for those of you who don't really know who I am or my background and stuff, that was a bit of my playing career that Jack kind of walked everyone through. But we I own a hockey agency called Advancement Hockey Advising. So been doing that for the past 5 years and been pretty busy lately with growing the company, hiring new people, getting clients and all that stuff. But it's been good. Just been busy lately.
Yeah, let's actually start with that off. Like, how did you get into advising? Like what was like the startup of the company like, and how have you seen it grown in the last 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, so for advising, I tell this to everyone with my backstory. It was totally done by accident. My goal was never to be an advisor or an agent. It actually just kind of happened naturally. So I remember back when I was playing in my junior days, I didn't really know how the hockey world worked. I was really confused. That's probably why I was a bit of a suitcase, honestly, because I didn't know what leagues were good, what teams to go to, what things to ask for, the mindset to have, and all that kind of stuff, how to deal with adversity. Didn't really know any of that. And then I went through undergrad. Luckily, got to play NCAA hockey, which was nice. But then towards the end, so when I graduated, I was kind of back home. I was helping a local team as a prep hockey team in Hawkesbury, Ontario. And I was just going on the ice, practicing with them, helping them out. Then kids just started asking me, like, hey, like, how'd you go play junior hockey? How does that work? How does NCAA hockey work? They asked me about my experience. I give them some answers and all that stuff. And then a couple weeks later, they started asking me like, "Hey, could you place me on this team, or could you call the coach for me, or could you do this and that?" And then did that for a couple of months, and then 2, 3 months later, like I started getting like 15 or 20 parents calling me each night about their kid and stuff. So I was like, maybe there's something here. I should probably start doing this somewhat full time and charging for this because it's taking a lot of my time at this point. So me and another buddy, we started AHA now, and that was back in like late 2019. We started that up, and then kept helping kids, kept getting referrals, more and more guys coming to us. And then in like early 2021, we decided, let's start posting online, posting content like on YouTube, and then later went on to Instagram. And at first, like the goal at first was just to post these videos about like talking points to send to our clients. That's all I was really there for. But then as we started doing that, more and more people started reaching out to us. And then, the agency started building. We started hiring more and more people. And fast forward to today, we're just kind of growing in the space and going at it in the past 5 years here. So that's kind of like the journey and why it all started.
Yeah, that's awesome. Everything happens for a reason, and just like you said, like you weren't expecting to go into the agent advising world, but it just happened, and you guys are having success right now with finding guys teams and just working through that. So like that's awesome. So like what have you learned throughout the process, like from when you first started to where you're at now, and just like how to like continue to grow and like get guys to where they want to be.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the process, I'm trying to think of like the biggest things I've learned. There's a ton you learn like by starting your own business that they don't really teach you in school. But I would say always like it's always like trying to, help the clients do what's best for the clients, keep their best interests in mind. If you keep those principles in mind, typically you end up succeeding and always being honest. As much as it hurts to like tell people in consults, hey, like I really like, let's say, for example, their kid, they're playing in the EHL or in the USPHL Premier as like an 18-year-old. They tell me, hey, I want to go play in the USHL next year in NCAA D1. Probably not going to happen, and it's tough to be like that person to tell them what the realistic options are. But I think you have to do that and you have to be honest. And if you're honest with players, with coaches, with anybody you work with, I think that's the biggest takeaway that I can give to people, no matter what industry you end up in, whether it's like hockey agency advising, coaching, whatever in hockey or whatever in life, honesty is always the key. Now, there's a way to deliver that message,
Yeah.
not to be brutally honest where you tear someone's hopes and dreams down and keep giving them hope. But I think if you come across and you stay true to principles and be honest, I think that's the biggest thing you can do in this space and in life in general. For players, what I've learned is being able, like the ones that really succeed are the ones that are able to deal with adversity. So you kind of touched on that in the beginning, but those that can actually keep pushing through the hard times, no matter what happens, they learn from it. They get up, they learn from it, and they push forward. They keep getting incrementally better. Those that can do that can always push through adversity. Those are typically the guys that move to the higher levels. So that's probably the biggest thing on the player side that I could share.
Yeah, and like there's always going to be adversity and stuff that happens throughout the season and throughout people's players' careers. So you just gotta keep pushing forward and just keep overcoming those obstacles because like if you do that, like you're gonna get better and better and have a better like mindset as well. So like it's all gonna compound into a greater success.
Yeah, and it's so easy to when it's not going right. It's like let's say you get cut, scratched, you're not playing a lot, you're just not playing at your best, or you're in a slump or something like that. It's so easy to get down on yourself. But to be honest, like those are the moments where it counts. That's when you have to like have that strong mindset, make that shift, reset. There's a bunch of different techniques you can do. There's a bunch of sports psychologists you can talk to. Your coaches can give you tips and tricks, but it's really up to you in those hard moments to find a way to keep pushing through. And typically, if you do that, you usually get through it and you go on the other side where things are more in the light and less in the dark. But if you're doing that, like in the future, whenever you do encounter an obstacle, it's going to be great because you'll see your past track record of going through obstacles. You'll be like, you know what, I actually like I pushed through those and now I can do this again. And in life, that's just going to serve you so well. So those who can do that, it's like one of the best skills to have.
Yeah, exactly. What were some of those like tough obstacles that you had to face throughout your career that you overcame and helped yourself?
God, quite a few. I've talked about a few of these in the past. So the two hardest ones are probably my first year of junior. I was like, I got there, I was 18 years old, going in the Noj, and I was one of the like touted as to be one of the best D like on the team. So I got there, had a lot of ice time right away. Things were going well, but unfortunately, I got a little bit complacent. A couple months in, stopped showing up to regular workouts. Stopped showing up to practice early to do a warm up and to get ready, physically and mentally. And performance just showed on the ice. I stopped getting, regular points, stopped like producing on the power play, little things that just incrementally got worse. Coaches sat me down. They said, listen, Braeden, like you got to step it up, blah, blah, blah. Stepped it up a little bit, but then kind of went down again. And then halfway through the year, they just said, you're not cutting it. We're letting you go. So that was pretty tough. Ended up having to finish a year like junior B back home because it was like in January, so there's like no teams really looking at that point. And so that was pretty tough mentally. And to not quit hockey at that point was a tough thing because the thought actually went through my head quite a bit. So that was one really hard moment. Another one was going from NCAA D3 Western New England to Trine's ACHA D2 team because the plan was never to go play ACHA D2. So I was at Western New England University. Second year, battled injuries a lot, didn't see eye to eye with the coach that much. So decided to, let's transfer to Trine. They said they were very interested. They're starting a new program. Let's go there. Got to Trine, went through the tryouts. Thought I did great with the tryouts, got along with the team really well. And basically, coach pulls me into the office and says, "Listen, Braeden, I think you did pretty good in tryouts. You're definitely, good enough for the team, but your schedule sucks." Because I was in like heavy like biochemistry is like
Yeah.
heavy sciences and all that, and I had a lot of labs and tough class schedule. But he's like, "Your schedule sucks, and I don't see you as a guy that's going to be good enough to miss 3 out of the 4 practices each week. So because of that." The ACHA schedule is better, and I think you'll be a better leader on that team. Well, it was a compliment, but at the same time, it was tough because I knew like I wasn't making the team and I was getting sent down to club hockey. So that was pretty tough. Again, thought about quitting at that point. It was pretty dark, but found my way through it. And actually, those were like the 2 best years of hockey in my life. The coach was phenomenal. We actually had a great team, and we went to nationals both years. So there was definitely a silver lining there. But overall, like that was very tough, and my first year in junior hockey was very tough as well. But it's just about pushing through, and then good things come on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta keep pushing through it and everything will come. Everything will get better, and like even like the darkest of days, like everything gets better. Like you just gotta keep pushing, keep going through, keep going to practice every day, grinding through the workouts, doing something to get better every day. Like even if it's like that 1% better every day mentality, like just do something to help yourself get out of that hole. And like once you do, you just gotta keep grinding, keep going, keep showing up the next day.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the best players really do this. It's one thing to keep pushing through and staying status quo, but like the really best players, like if you look at Sidney Crosby, McDavid, and even like in the NBA, if you looked at Kobe Bryant, his mentality, Michael Jordan's mentality was almost psychotic, but like they really think like, what can I do to get just a little bit better every
Yeah.
single day? Always looking for that edge. And if you're a guy that's more on the outside looking in the lineup, if you have that mindset every time you come, not just showing up and pushing through the adversity, but showing up and really paying attention. Okay, what do I need to learn? Like, what do I need to improve? Can I talk to the coach? Can I watch some video? Like, if you really put that all that focus and energy in there, you're always thinking about getting a little bit better and a little bit better, a little bit better. If you do that, you will see the results eventually, and that's going to help like shorten that curve where you're going through that adversity, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Those are like you said, the greatest players do that, and like the greatest players have those mindsets that make them a little bit psychotic, but like it does work out at the end, and it just has like that bigger like mindset mentality where you're just getting better every day, like finding that edge, no matter what you're doing, like you will find that edge.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I want to get into your career a little bit more here. So you're from Ontario. So like what was it like growing up in Ontario? Like I know it's a hockey hotbed up there, especially in Canada. So like what was it like growing up and going throughout youth hockey?
Yeah, I mean, I started the game a little bit late. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old when I first started. So that was adversity again because I started and I sucked. I wasn't very good at skating, couldn't really stop very well. And everybody was skating circles around me. So again, like I wanted to quit like after the second practice. And my mom's like, no, like we put you in for the year, try it out for the year. If you hate it
Yeah.
afterwards, then you can stop and play soccer or something else. But then kept going through, and then finally, like halfway through the year, I started getting my groove. I started figuring out how things work, and then second and third year, I started getting better, and that's when I started skating circles around kids when I was younger. So that was like my youth days, and then as I went through, played like double A, triple A hockey growing up. That was cool. Nothing too crazy there. Like always very competitive. Got cut a couple times from triple A. Was tough, but made it through and
Yeah.
made the teams afterwards. Then I played prep school for a couple years at Ontario Hockey Academy, based out of Cornwall. That was tough because I was 15 years old and it's the first time I moved away from home. So even though it was only like an hour away, it was tough to not be at home. So that was a bit of an adjustment period, but really good experience. Enjoyed it there, and yeah. And then I played last year. I played AAA back home, and then I went to juniors afterwards. So it's a bit of my path and what it was like at in Ontario there.
Yeah, so like what were some of those moments that like stuck out to you growing up that made you like really fall in love with the game?
God, I would say, ooh, that's a good question. I would say like again, coming back to when I first started, it was pretty terrible when I was first playing because I really sucked. And then I think it's like the when I started getting better and noticing the results, and mo mostly like the end of the first year, but mostly in the second year.
Yeah.
That's when I really started falling in love with it. And I would actually, I remember this moment too. Like my dad would take me to the out, like once I really got hooked, he would take me to the local outdoor rink like almost every night. And I'd skate there like basically until they kicked me out. Honestly, I'd be there for like 4 or 5 hours every night, like just playing every single. It was great, and I'll cherish those memories forever because it's actually on the ODRs that I learned like the little moves, the little stick handles, how to. It's like the little tips and tricks that I still use today on the ice. That's where I kind of learned all the little moves and stuff. So I definitely remember that just going with my dad, like every single like weeknight to go out and play. So that's probably the best memory of my childhood.
Yeah, the creativity really shines on the ODR. That's where
Yeah.
everyone starts to get their creativeness and just grow your game from there.
Yeah, I recommend it to like any parent that has a kid playing hockey or any sport really, but hockey like for ODR context. But like bringing them to the ODR like is the best thing because that's where, like you said, you have the chance to be creative. Like
Yeah.
in practices with teams, in games, you don't always have that chance to be creative, because there's systems and all that. Even though there shouldn't be that many systems at a younger age, now they're starting to implement a bit more.
Yeah.
But honestly, like as you're growing up, going on the ODR is like the best thing. Going to pickup hockey, playing one-on-one against guys, two-on-ones, two-on-twos. That's where you pick up all your creative moves and stuff. And then within reason in games and practices, you can, try some of that creativity out that you learn that kind of works on the ODRs and in pickup hockey. So I recommend it to every parent to put their kid as much as possible in pickup hockey and ODRs.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome, and just gotta love the ODRs. But then you go on with youth hockey, and then you get into junior hockey in the NCJHL with the Van Cleek Hill Cougars. So, like I know you said that was probably one of your hardest years of hockey, was your first year of juniors. But like, what was it like? The process to get into that junior team?
So I think the junior C team that was actually in my 17-year-old year when I played AAA back home. I think I played just a couple games junior C just like to get some junior games in. The following year, it's when I went to North Bay, got cut, and then I played in the EOJHL, the Junior B League in Eastern Ontario, to finish out the year. That to answer your question though, that was tough because it was just not a good headspace. I knew like. I had to keep playing hockey and I had that
Yeah.
opportunity. So I showed up and I played, but my heart definitely wasn't in it. It was probably the hardest 4 months of my life to play because I just really, I was in a pretty dark place and I did not want to do anything at that point because it was the first time I really majorly got cut in the middle of a season. So very difficult. Happy I didn't quit though, honestly. So anybody who's going through a similar moment like that, like definitely do not quit. Keep pushing forward if you really love the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's always, like we said, there's always gonna be tough times, but if you can push through it, like there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it will get better, and you're just able to push through it and like use that adversity as a learning experience to help yourself get to that next level, and then you face it at another level, you're like, oh, I've already been through something like similar like this. Like, just got to keep pushing and keep getting better every day.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but like how was the NOJHL compared to the O8 the EO the EOJHL?
I would say the Noj probably just a slight step up in caliber. Even today, like the Noj is a decent league to go
Yeah.
to. Definitely a slight step up in caliber compared to Junior B, but Junior B still wasn't like the EOJHL still has some good players in it. It feeds to the CCHL quite a bit for the top players, especially the younger guys. But I would say the Noj is definitely a step up though in caliber.
Yeah, I've also heard that the Noj is like playing in Northern Ontario is like a really cool experience. Like, do you have like cool experience in like just like the views and like the town where that you were in?
Yeah, I mean the like North Bay was a cool town. It was nice. Really love my teammates there. It felt like the Noj is cool. It feels like junior hockey. The Noj and all the Western leagues. Like I played in the MJ a little bit. We played against teams in the SJ. All those like Western leagues in the Northern Ontario League. It feels like a junior experience. You're going on long road trips to go play against
Yeah.
guys. Usually it's like 4 or 5 hours, if not more, and you're on the bus a lot. You're watching movies with the guys. We played euchre back in the day, playing cards, the classic hockey player game in the bus. So we played that, had a blast doing that, and I really I really felt like, those 6 months that I was there, I was playing junior hockey. It felt
Yeah.
like an immersive junior experience. So really, really cool. I miss the bus trips. Honestly, a lot of people say they hate the bus trips, but I loved hanging out with the guys and playing cards and all that stuff. So
Yeah, the bus trips are probably one of the most favored part of like when everyone looks back at like the road trips and everything. Like everyone's like, "Oh, I miss the road trips." You're just sitting on the bus for 6, 7, 8 hours, just hanging with the guys and
uh,
just finding ways to pass the time by.
yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a great memory, 100%.
Oh yeah, but then after that year in the Noj and the EO, you went to New Jersey Hitmen, the USPHL Elite, and you were and the Empire Division for like one game. So like what and as well as the Eastern Hockey League with New Jersey Junior Titans. So like what was that second year of junior hockey like for you?
Yeah, so I was just trying to find a place to play post getting cut from the Node. So didn't have it like had an just to give a bit of context. You had an advisor, didn't really do much to be honest. I tried to find things all myself. So found this opportunity, like okay, the EHL, not a bad league to go to. So I actually started with the New Jersey Titans in the EHL. Problem was, is we couldn't get my transfer papers or for whatever reason. It was a whole like complicated situation. Unfortunately, didn't really have an advisor or an agent to help me out. So trying to deal with that as it went down, like back then it was complicated to get Canadian and American like phone companies to kind of talk to one another.
Yeah.
So that was a whole mess. Didn't have a phone for like a week, couldn't get the transfer papers figured out. Finally, as I get the papers done and I get a couple games in, they said you're like we're gonna trade you to the USPHL. Well, it was the USPHL Elite at the time, but it's the USPHL Premier now. So played for the Premier team for the Hitmen. Honestly, great organization. Loved it there. Really like the coaching staff, the GM, and everything. Went really well. Played one game with the Empire team for a weekend we had off, but overall just played for the elite team there and had a really good time. Have nothing bad to say about that. Looking back at it, I probably should have went back there the following year because I probably had a good chance to make the top team, which would have been the NCDC team today. But instead, got a call from the man in the MJ, the Swan Valley Stampeders. Then decided to go there. Didn't work out there, unfortunately. So a lot. I guess I'm jumping ahead here. You're probably gonna ask these, but basically, was gonna go went to Swan Valley, was there for like a month, didn't work out. Wanted to come back. So I had a team in the CCHL Kempville, like interested in having me practice and stuff, but Swan Valley didn't want to release my rights at the time. So I couldn't go to any sanctioned league. It was kind of a mess. So went down to Syracuse, where I played in an unsanctioned league, the NA3 EHL or whatever it was called at the time. Played there, like did pretty well there, and then once like I didn't belong to the Swan Valley team anymore, that's when I finished the year in the CCHL for Kempville. So that explains like the whole going everywhere basically the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's a crazy path, but
Yeah.
you just gotta do whatever you do to play games and just get the resume build. So like what did you learn throughout like that process where you're going everywhere and like obviously like you can't control what happened with like the people with the team holding your rights and all that, but like what did you learn throughout those last 2 years to really help you advance your game to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, if I would have to do it all different, probably like what I'd recommend to players now that be in a similar situation as me is when you show up to a team, like never, like always show up to try and dominate, never be complacent, and
Yeah.
always show up to be your best. If I would have done that, if I had had the proper mindset and never fallen like those complacency traps, I probably would have stuck with one or maybe two teams throughout my whole junior career. But because I kind of fell in those traps, like as things were starting to go well, at that point, that's where, you kind of just trickle out and you have to go to another team, another team, another team. I think if I would have known that early on in my career, it would have been probably a different junior career, maybe a
Yeah.
different AA career as well. So that's why I tell guys, like always show up, be your best, be so good that the coach can't ignore you. Be like always tweak on your things. Again, comes back to the mindset of the champions and the best players. Always trying to improve just a little bit every day. And if you really stick to that mindset, you'll become a leader. People will look up to you, and you're going to force the coach's hand to play you because the coach has to win, and he's going to play the guys that he trusts that's going to help him, give him the best chance to win. So if you do that and you have the right mindset, typically you'll be good to go. So I wish I would have known that when I was younger.
Yeah, you just gotta go there, show up, dominate, and make, like you said, like make the coach decisions super hard that he has to keep you and he has to play you.
Yeah, like I know some guys, I remember distinctly like some guys I played with, like you just couldn't, like the coach just couldn't not play them. Like they
Yeah.
just do every single little thing right, and it just forces them to play. And even some of our clients now, I see them playing like they're so good. They learn so quickly. They take coach feedback very well. They do the little things right, and the coaches tell me they're like, I have to play this guy. Like even if I'd want to play somebody else, I can't. Like this guy is just, I need him on my team. So if you can put the coach in that position, you'll probably not be a suitcase like I was in junior.
That's funny, and that but like then you ended your junior career with Kempville 73. So like, what was your time in Kempville like? I've heard that it's a pretty cool town to play in, and like to play in Kempville is pretty cool as well.
I loved it at Kentville. Actually, I didn't play there very long. I think I had like 3 or 4 games in the regular season and then like 2 or 3 games in playoffs. We actually had a very good team. And, I came in there and obviously I wasn't a top line guy. I was like sometimes third line, but mainly fourth line when I came in. And just because the team was like the roster was pretty much set and all that stuff. But we're going for a big playoff push because we had a really good team that year. Unfortunately, we lost in the first round. We were like touted as a team that was probably going to go pretty far in the playoffs, but we kind of didn't do so hot, the end of those playoffs there. But honestly, like great experience, great coaching staff, great guys. I actually had Rob Tugnut, who played in the NHL. He was like unbelievable. I really love having him as a coach. Really great guy. Like really talks to all his players. Good communicator. Great coach. So honestly, it was a first class organization and any player that tells me that, hey, I'm interested in the CCHL, Kentville's one of the first teams I call now. So I love playing there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially like even though you didn't play there for that long, like you still felt like you got in right away and like you loved the team and everything right away. So like that always helps no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but then after that last year of juniors, you went on to play a couple years in NCAA Division III with New Western University, England University there. So like what was the process like to commit there, and like did you have any other schools that you were looking into, or was that like your main school?
Yeah, so I was looking at a bunch of different schools, but that one, I think I had Westfield and I had a couple other like decent offers, but the Western New England, like I actually toured Western New England late. It was like July, when I went on the campus visit and I fell in love with the campus. So as soon as I saw, I was like, yeah, this is a school I want to go to.
Yeah.
Really nice campus. The coach like answered all our questions. He seemed like he wanted me on the team. It was a rebuild year, so it made sense to go there. Loved the school, loved everything about it. Hockey side, the first year actually went pretty well. For freshman year, I got in most of the games. I had a pretty good role on the team, third or fourth line most games. But as a freshman, it was good. I got a lot of minutes. Sophomore year was the challenge though, because I got injured. Like I actually came in like in the best shape of my life. I was determined to be like start becoming a leader on the team and all that stuff. And first practice in as we were like doing like our school tryouts or whatever, I got a really bad ankle sprain. So I was like in and out for like 3, 4, maybe 5 months. Every time I kept coming back in it, I'd re-sprain it and all that stuff. So took forever. And by the time I came back, I think there was, maybe 8 games left in the year. Got in most of the games, but didn't really get that many games in. And towards the end of the year, the coach just and it kind of little thing happened, but we didn't really see eye to eye towards the end as to how like what my role on the team is going to be the following years. And he had an honest meeting with me. Just said, "Listen, Braeden, I just don't know where you're going to fit next year. We'll see, but I'm just not 100% sure." And at that point, I kind of took it as like, okay, he's not really seeing me in the lineup next year. He's not too sure what my role is. So let me just go talk to other programs and see what happens. And that's where I kind of went on and went to Trine afterwards.
Yeah, but like going from like your freshman year, like obviously as a freshman, like a lot of freshmen don't see that many minutes like you did, but you saw, you played in 17 games that first year. So like, what was it like to really get your foot in the door, just get those minutes, and like, I'm sure it really helped like boost your confidence as well.
Yeah, I mean it was good. Like definitely the first few games, it's an adjustment of pace because
Yeah,
NCAA hockey, even the D3 level, is very intense. You're playing against like full-blown 25-year-old men, at that point when you're like 20 or 21 years
yeah,
old starting. So definitely a big adjustment. Very intense hockey, very physical. But once you get the groove and stuff, it's fine. Like you get into the game, you feel more comfortable out there and you just get in the groove of things and it's just about continuously improving and adapting. At that point, that's where my mindset really started shifting. Like the coach instilled the culture, like you always have to get better every day. He was really big on that, and the team was pretty big on that too. So although we didn't really win many games that year, and we didn't have the best team, we had like that right mindset in terms of always trying to improve and get better. So I feel like personally, that's where the mindset shift started to
yeah.
happen. But overall, like the hockey itself, really good hockey, intense, and just getting those reps in, that was the biggest thing. And it's just like fighting to stay in the lineup every game. That was the mentality I had for my freshman year.
Yeah, so like that obviously really helped like advance your game and everything. And then unfortunately, you were hurt a little of that sophomore year and like had to like come back from that. But then you really got back into the swing of things when you went to Trine for your third and fourth year, where you were playing consistently again. You're playing 31, 30 and 30 games, and you were also the captain your senior year. So like, what was it like just building into being that leader for Trine?
I think it was just because like I came in with experience and it was a new team. Though like those 2 years there, it was just basically transitioning into that leadership role. That
Yeah,
was the biggest thing. We had for the ACHA team, we had the chance to have a really good shot at winning the championship. So for me, like I met with a coach. We're like, okay, this is what we want to do. These are what our goals are. This is what he basically told me. This is what I kind of need of you as a leader, and then we'll move forward. So day in and day out, just leading by example, communicating with the guys, showing up, doing all the things that you need to do, and then kind of going from there. So, great 2 years. Honestly, I love the team, love the coaching staff. Have nothing but good things to say about trying.
yeah, and like you also like went really far in the playoffs as well. So like, what do you gain from that experience of going deep into the playoff rounds and just because you already are a super really good team, and then just to like continue to go through the playoffs and just keep winning and keep moving up the rounds.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty exhilarating. But the toughest part is when you lose in like I think
Yeah,
last year we lost in like the semifinals. That was a tough pill to swallow, honestly, because you work so hard for it, and when you're so close, like you're literally 2 wins away
yeah,
from winning, and it gets kind of stripped from you. You feel it's pretty tough, but overall, it kind of just showed like what it takes to win, and how winning is incredibly difficult when you play at the higher levels. So. Yeah, I would say that's what I kind of gained from it. It's like, okay, if I truly want to win and whatever I do in life, like you really have to show up as your best self, continuously learn every single day, and that's how you can eventually win. But it's very difficult to achieve. So
yeah. Especially as you keep moving up the rounds and just keep
yeah,
getting deeper and deeper, it gets harder and harder to win, and you just got to go even more all in than you've already been. You got to go like 1,000% in compared to 150% in the following game.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but then after your college career came to a close, you found yourself going into the EOSHL, the Eastern Ontario Super Hockey League with the Maxville Millionaires, which is where you spent the last 6 years in the EOSHL so far. So like, what was it like getting your foot in the EOSHL?
Yeah, I mean, when I got back home, I was kind of in between like my undergrad and going to, well, we didn't talk about this, but I'm currently in medical school. I was always applying to medical school, all that stuff. But that aside, like I was in between there, and one of the coaches calls me. He's like, "Hey, you want to come for a tryout?" I was like, "I don't really know what this is, but let's go and see." It was the first year that they kind of put it together, and honestly, I got there. I was like, "Wow, the caliber is actually pretty good. It's fun, just once a week, no practices." And it was competitive hockey. So I really loved it the first year. And then the league just kind of kept building, and I just kind of stuck with it. And throughout med school, throughout after undergrad and all that stuff, the past 6 years, just been kind of doing it. And it's I don't know, it's been a nice tail end of my career, honestly. I didn't think I'd be playing this long, but I'm pretty happy it's worked out that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. So like what have you seen from the leagues since you first got in the league to where it's at now? Like how has it grown and like especially like the competitiveness and how good the teams are getting?
Yeah, so the for the league, the OSHL, when I first started, it was like a 4-team league when they first got it started in 2019. It was still good caliber back then. Honestly, the players were still pretty solid. And then the league just kind of grew over the past 6 years, and now the caliber, I would say, maybe is a slight step up higher. They're getting slightly better players in the league, but it's still like the caliber back then was still quite solid for 4 teams. I think there's just more good players and more teams now, and they're looking to expand even more. So I'm excited to see where the league kind of goes because it's fun. I think a lot of good players get value out of it. You still get to play contact hockey, you still get to play competitive hockey, but it's just once a week, so most people can actually make it. So I'm excited to see where the league goes in the next couple of years here.
Yeah, exactly. And like this past year is my first year in the EOSHL and like I could say that like it was really good quality hockey, like a lot of really good players have come from really good leagues and all that. And like just playing in Gananoque was awesome. Like it was a top tier town and just made everything a lot of fun to go to and like you're playing really good hockey as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've traveled throughout the EOSHL from the Maxville Mustangs for a couple years, and then you've been playing the last couple years with the Glengarry Pipers. So what has it been like to play in Glengarry the last few years?
Yeah, I mean Glengarry is I like honestly out of all the teams I played for, like the group of guys in Glengarry is like phenomenal. I love going to the rink with those guys because they're just great guys to be around. So really liked it there. The first year, so I played for Maxville for a couple years. Then I actually tried playing in the Quebec League for like for a year. This is my second year in med school, just because I'm in Montreal right now, and playing for the Quebec League was a bit closer. So tried playing there. It didn't jive as much as it did back like in Maxville or back in the EOSHL. So I decided, you know what? I think I'd rather stay the EOSHL. So that's when I joined the Pipers. And the first year we like that I got there towards the tail end of the year, they were pretty decent. We did okay. The past year, the one before this one, we were on paper we were quite good, but we just couldn't put it together, and the team just didn't have a very good year. And then this year we started off the year really strong. We won the first 2 or 3 games, and then after that, like it just kind of went downhill. Some guys got traded, some guys just quit, and the year wasn't so hot, honestly, in terms of how we performed overall. But still, even if we were losing, like the it's just fun. Like the games are fun, the games are competitive. I enjoyed it anyways. So I think this year or the following year we're going to be relocated to Akwesasne, so we'll kind of see what that holds here moving forward.
Yeah, Glengarry seems like a pretty cool place to play. Like I've done research on the league obviously. Like before like I played in GAN and like seemed like that's a really cool city and unique city to be a part of as well.
For sure. Yeah, it's a cool small town. It's not far from my parents' place, so my parents get to watch all the games too.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a lot of fun when your parents get to come down and watch you play the game still, even as you're getting older.
Yeah, for sure. I think my dad gets more fun out of it than I do. He's like my number one fan. He loves coming to the games.
Yeah, that's awesome. But like what do you learn from playing the USHL, like especially since it's a step up from like the leagues you've been in before? It's like what has been some of the things you learned about the game and like your game as well?
Yeah, I mean, you get to see some really skilled players in action, so you kind of just take the best that you can from all of them. And even though I'm 30 and I'm pushing I'm going through my mid 30s now. Even at that point, you still like try to learn, get a little bit better every day. And every time I show up to the rink, playing against these good players, I kind of like pick up little things here and there. So I think that's one aspect. And second aspect is yes, a competitive league and stuff, but it's mainly like it is for fun too, and guys show up there and the point is to have fun in a competitive way. And I think it's a nice transition compared to when I played college hockey. At that point, it was very, very competitive, like show up business every day. You try and have fun with it, but it's competition first. Whereas this, there is competition, but there's a little element of fun to it too. So yeah, kind of changed gears a little bit, learned that, but learned about that, learned about little things that the really good players do, and then just kind of, go through it that way.
Yeah, and grow your love for the game even more, and that you're still able to play as well at a high level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I have a few more questions before we wrap this episode up. But we've talked about a lot throughout this episode. So like if you have to combine everything we talked about today, like what are some of the things, some advice that you'd give younger players looking to get to that next level if you have to like put everything that we talked about together?
Always look at getting better, whatever way that is. Always try and get better every single day. Never become complacent, and find ways to push through the adversity because it will one you'll get through it at some point. And anytime you encounter adversity through life, moving forward, you're gonna look back like, hey, I handled harder things. I'll be able to push through this too. So always getting better, never becoming complacent, pushing through adversity. If you do that, you'll succeed not only on the ice, but in life as well.
That's awesome. It's a great piece of advice, and just keep pushing, moving forward. Like you said, like you're not even only going to be successful on the ice, but also in life as well. So you're to win-win no matter what.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then my last question is like, what's been your favorite barn to play in? Like, in let's go college. Like, what was your favorite
Burn.
playing?
Mm, the I guess this isn't answering the question directly, but the best one that I've seen actually is we're gonna host a showcase at UNH this year. My favorite college hockey barn that I've seen so far and been in is the UNH one. It is a sick barn. The favorite one I've played in, I would say probably either Endicott. Actually, Trine's barn was really good too. I love playing in that rink, and Fredonia's was pretty good too. But honestly, like I might have to say Trine. I love Trine's barn. They like we packed the stands. The rink was really nice, so I might have to go with Trine on that one, even though I'm a bit
The
biased.
home barn.
Yeah, the home barn exactly.
Can't go wrong with picking the home barn. Like that's what makes the home games fun and just the whole experience as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but Braeden, thank you again for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time and hope everything goes well with medical school and continue to play in the EOSHL.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on board here.